Okay, now, next I'd like you all to welcome Weyman Bennett, who is Joint Secretary of Unite Against Fascism. Weyman.
Thank you for your kind words. I want to start off by saying I've been speaking today at three radio stations, and they've said to me the same thing. They said to me, "What are you going to do about terrorism?" So I said to them, right, I'll talk to you about this. Terrorism, there's been 15 attacks on mosques. There was a bomb planted inside the Midlands, in which the police came forward and said, don't overreact, we don't know what type of device this was. It was a bomb, it had been planted by right-wingers. There was an attack in Gloucester, it was organised by the regional organiser of the EDL. There was an attack that took place inside Muswell Hill, which burnt down a community centre, including a mosque. And I turned around and said, something's got to be done about this. They said, we don't mean that. And what we meant was, what's going to be done about terrorism? I said, that is terrorism. That's what you call it when people like the EDL go around and attack people. Tommy Robinson says he's going to march through 6 boroughs. Do you really believe that if a Muslim organisation had done that and had their emblems put on a church or anything like that, they'd be allowed to do it? Or it'd be discussed, or they'd be on Radio 4. On Radio 4, what did the presenter say? Many of our listeners would really understand and agree with many of the things that you've said to Tommy Robinson. Now that's the problem. That's part of the problem. The truth is that when you look at what happened after Woolwich, actually, to be honest, if you think about 7/7, actually 7/7, 50 people were killed, should be much worse. It was much worse, but nevertheless, you didn't have the same reaction. Why? Because the level of Islamophobia and racism has been allowed to grow unabated and been able to be pushed. And we know this because every single time we demonstrate against the EDL, people say things to us like, "You're the same as the EDL." They don't notice. They want to burn down mosques. They attack trade unions. They're homophobic and racist. They come around and attack, but you're exactly the same. We've got a mixed group of people, it's men and women. They don't seem to notice that. And actually there's an argument put forward about why these people should be resisted. And then they've turned around to us and said, the EDL have disappeared by themselves last time. They didn't disappear by themselves. I tell you something, in communities like Blackburn and in communities in Tower Hamlets, people came out, Muslim, white and black, Jew came out and said, you shall not pass, you will not get through. That's why Tommy Robinson didn't get to march, not because he wanted to, because we challenged the argument that they put forward. There's an attempt, I believe, in this country to attempt to isolate Muslim organisations. Every single time they say, where are you going to hold your meeting? We say, we're going to hold it in the London Muslim Centre. Is that fair? They're under attack. When people are under attack, you join with them. And I'm concerned. Do you really believe if 3 black churches had been attempted to be burnt down, or 3 synagogues, there wouldn't be a massive hue and cry to say what's going on? We have to make sure that people like Tommy Robinson don't get away with putting their arguments about what they're trying to do. And I think the question of anti-fascism it's going to be central to that. But I think underlying that is racism and Islamophobia. And breaking that down, I think it is central. And I think it goes very deep. When you hear, I mean, one of the speakers said that David Cameron said that multiculturalism failed. I keep asking the question, how does he know? He's never tried it. Do you mean? The truth of it is, these people that say they live in a multicultural society, they've got no idea what multicultural society is. And I don't mean the little soiree that we saw them in the Evening Standard going to a ball. That's as far as multicultural. There's lots of people, rich people from different countries. This is great. We're multicultural, multi-rich actually, in terms of what we're talking about here. And I think it's important that we gather everybody to say actually there are sides on this question. You do have to make a decision. I remember growing up in the 1970s when they said the reason why the National Front was marching was they were against mugging. That's why they were marching. No, they weren't. They were marching because they're racist. And actually, when the newspapers gave them cover, it gave them more encouragement. And I think that's the reason why we have to stand full square behind the open attacks on Muslims. And also we have to attack the people. To be honest, even when people in the Polytoynbee said that I'm proud to be an Islamophobe, I mean, something's seriously wrong in terms of what's going on, in terms of part of the so-called liberal establishment. And that's what's actually given the fascists to go. I'll tell you something as well, the question about France. What's made the difference between Britain and France is that we've been able to unite people on the basis without questioning how they're dressed. Why do they ask in France if a woman's going to wear a scarf in their head before she joins an anti-fascist demonstration? When fascists get murdered on the street because the growth of the organisations like the Front National. I'm proud to say that it's important that we all stand together and make a stand. To be honest, I was born on a British Army base. That's because my father was in the British Army, and I'm always constant. I remember growing up as a kid going through immigration as he came in the uniform. They said you don't need a passport. Well, that's fine, right? But suddenly, my mother, who was a migrant, who was a nurse, suddenly these people are to blame for what's going on inside this country. My mother came here to nurse people. And actually, I think the question of blaming migrants, blaming Muslims in the austerity crisis is fueling the growth of the organisations like the EDL and the BNP. And actually, to be honest, if you've got money to spend on war, don't say that you haven't got money to spend on the things that people need. And with the question of scapegoating, we saw in the 30s where it goes. Today there's a new target, Muslims. It was swapped in terms of anti-Semitism. It's important that we make a stand about in terms of what's happening. And I'll end up on this because I think this is important. The fascists used that picture. To be honest, they were happy. I know Tom Robinson said it couldn't really be better. A black guy with a knife standing over a British white soldier. Do you know what I mean? For them, they exploited that, but they did get stopped. The BNP did not march to the cenotaph. The EDL called 55 demonstrations, and they were actually stopped. And actually, the majority of people said they turned around and would resist that. And I think we have to end with that. The majority of people are on our side, and we will not allow them to drive or attack mosques. We will not allow them to use racism to divide us. We have to stand out against those people and come out united to make we stand against all the divisions.